Welcome to the Nuff Said Podcast, Issue 1, the official start to this whole thing. Today we're going to be talking about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because it just premiered. Before we get into that, let's introduce ourselves. I am Rampaging Rob Southgate, and with me is...
Jumpin' Jack Wendrowski.
Jumpin' Jack, I like that one. So, Jack, this was the big premiere of S.H.I.E.L.D. What did you think?
Oh my god, I was really ready for the Marvel masterpiece, and it's kind of Disney'd me out a little. How do you feel?
Really? I actually enjoyed it quite a bit. I thought that the tone was right. I thought that it was fun. I thought it was exactly what it should be for a TV show. What were you thinking? That it was going to be a little bit more tough, or?
I was thinking maybe either a little more like the Avengers kind of vibe, or a little more serious than the something with, when you look at the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, there's nobody that dysfunctional in the group, and this feels like a very kind of Disney dysfunctional kind of setup to me.
Okay. Well, I think they did that to add character to it. I actually my take on it was a little bit different. I came off of watching Avengers immediately before watching the episode. And I also, actually I shouldn't say that, there was something I watched in between. I watched the Marvel one-shot called Agent Carter literally before I turned on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. on my TiVo. So I was seeing the progression, like what they were going for, and to me it felt right on the money. I thought that the way they interacted and everything was very similar to Avengers. There might have been a little bit more humor to it, but I think that it was. I think that was present in the Avengers in a lot of ways. It's just there was so much, big bombastic explosions and stuff that it might have gotten, looked over a little bit more. You might have been looking more for that, but I thought the tone was right on the money, and I thought there was a lot of character to it.
Yeah, there's room for development in the characters, but I thought kind of the field agent with absolutely no interpersonal skills, foibled by the rogue hacker that gets kind of pulled in.
Yeah, so the one agent is Agent Ward. He's the one that has no personal skills. I thought that was funny how they did that, and I thought that he's a perfect straight man for what's going on.
Right, and the way they pulled the Sky in was to kind of shoot him with the truth serum, and it will add a lot of comic effects, but it did not.
It wasn't doing it for you.
It wasn't doing it for me. If I want him to be the actual crack field agent, where I really felt like, Melinda May. All right, all my confidence is in Melinda May. I figure she can go kick somebody's ass. Doesn't want to. She just wants to drive the bus. However, Grant Ward is going to be, I don't know, some sort of a weakness. He's not a badass character other than he was good for taking...
Oh, wait a minute. Think about how the episode started, though. When we saw him before he was brought into Level 7,
right,
he was very much a James Bond type character. And I think that that's what they're trying to do, is make him more like James Bond is a fish out of water when he gets into S.H.I.E.L.D.
Well, that's maybe what I'm seeing, but I wanted it to be a little more, less a fish out of water, with something that we could relate to a little bit, which okay. I think there's too much of that.
Okay. And, well, you know what? Keep in mind, this is the pilot, and we're going to see them evolve and see it gel a lot more. I thought that, they were trying to do an origin story. They were trying to set us up. Like, really the characters at this point are the cookie-cutter versions of these characters. So you were looking for him to draw you in a little bit more. Was he who you thought was going to be the hook? Like, were you thinking, he's the guy that I'm watching in this?
maybe that's the way they had set it up in the beginning, and maybe that's what kind of let it down. But
Yeah, I can see
obviously,
that.
you figure Agent Coulson is going to be the one that's really driving it. Kind of like what's that guy on CSI or the Navy investigator?
Okay, I don't watch those.
But he's really kind of the focus, and everything kind of revolves around him. So it really should be Coulson that is the draw.
Right, right. Well, I think Coulson is kind of in the Nick Fury role. He's the team lead. He's the one that's kind of pulling the strings. But I think that your I hesitate to say main character because essentially Coulson's the main character. But I think that your main team member is going to be Ward. Like he is going to be who the story is about. Because let's face it, any of these types of shows, there's going to be side stories and there's going to be focus on other characters, but there's somebody the story is about. And I think that the story is about Ward, essentially. Now, I think that we're going to see side stories where Sky is the story? Yeah. May? Absolutely. There was a big hint that there is a big Coulson story out there, and we haven't seen anything on that yet.
Well, obviously, they're kind of hinting about the fact that he was really killed, but fake killed, yet he was really dead.
Well, he said he was dead he said 45 seconds, and she was like, it was 10 seconds.
Right.
But that whole thing of he kept talking about him. What is this? I need to go back to English class, I think. He kept talking about Tahiti, and that's obviously a false memory that they've planted in him. So what happened? Is he actually Agent Coulson, or is he not? Like I said, there's that rumor out there that he's going to turn out to be the Vision. Maybe they implanted the memories into this, robot, and that is not really Coulson. We're going to find out that he's got some superpowers, and he is a puppet of S.H.I.E.L.D. Could be.
It could be. I mean, that's not really, but that would kind of be disappointing to me because boy, if you just look at the history of the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., that's really not their style.
To what? To
Well, not. I mean, they
to
do
this
have
kind of
amazing.
secret thing? I think they're very covert.
Well, it's covert, but they're badass commandos, and there's a lot of technology.
Okay, I think I get what disconnected for you. Because if you read, because I know you were going back and reading the old Nick Fury Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D.,
Right.
and like we talked about in issue 0, got to keep going with that theme. We're going to get so tired of that, man. But what we talked about in that, we were talking about those early issues and how it was very techie, James Bond with a little bit of a sci-fi element to it. And it's very gear heavy and everything, and it was pretty serious stuff. And in this, I think they were using that as the playground. You've got all the tech stuff. You've got these guys that are the best of the best, but they're not so serious about everything. And I think you were looking for more of a military, serious, hardcore. And I can get that because when I first heard they were doing a S.H.I.E.L.D. series, that's totally what I thought we were going to get.
Well, obviously, you're going from that. The whole thing came out of that World War II era commando team,
Right.
and everything was driven by Tony Stark. All your technology.
Now, wait a minute. I'm going to go back further because, I've been reading the Marvel Now comics, and in there, and I may have missed a whole bunch. I may be looking at this from these new comics, and people are going to be screaming at this going, no, they did this in the 70s. I don't know. But in there, they have indicated that S.H.I.E.L.D. has been around a lot longer than we think. And in fact, in the one book I was reading, they encounter, the character encounters Tesla, Tesla the inventor.
Right.
And he was part of S.H.I.E.L.D. And a lot of their tech and their power and everything came from his inventions and from what he was doing. And he talks about being in this secret organization, and the character that is meeting with him, that's having this interaction, sees like a rough S.H.I.E.L.D logo, and he doesn't call it S.H.I.E.L.D. He doesn't even know it's S.H.I.E.L.D yet. But she sees the logo and she knows this is the beginnings of S.H.I.E.L.D right here. So, if we're trying to place it back to World War II like the comic books had it, we may be looking at old story. They have revised this thing and rewritten it so that, yeah, this is more like a secret society that's been going on for a long time.
Well, that could be. When they talk about on the Man for the Job, I got pulled up here. They're looking for a director. It doesn't necessarily mean they're looking to put the whole thing together.
Okay.
You just kind of assume that. But here in the introduction, let's see. Yeah, I'm really not seeing anything where it says that he's been picked to lead it, but it doesn't really say anything about their beginning. So I think they left it rather open.
Okay. Well, yeah, but over time, I mean, throughout the comics, I'm sure they indicated what was going on there. I thought that you were saying that it came out of World War II, and I'm saying that it's a lot older than that.
No. What I was saying is the style from the original.
Oh, okay.
61 print. The 61 print.
Yeah.
But that it has that World War II commando. They're all it's all run like a commando unit.
Right.
And to me, it was a lot more haphazard, kind of that very modern. I mean, I think it does have a great potential for a lot of character development, especially for a TV show, ongoing TV show.
Sure. Well, and let's face it. I mean, this is a Joss Whedon project. He's showrunner on it, I believe, going forward. And if you watch his other stuff like Firefly, I mean, the pilot episode, they're kind of giving you a glimpse into these characters as it went on. They fleshed them out beautifully, and it became a lot less cookie cutter.
Yeah, I'm just hoping it develops more than it. It could have been a little less campy. I was kind of hoping for more of the Melinda May kind of.
Yeah, kind of that tough
yes,
thing.
Right. The toughness, everything was there. You've just confidence, is I guess the word. I felt like with.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, but who didn't have it other than Ward?
Well, I think Ward had it, but he's without a personality. He is going to have some serious defects.
Right. He's going to have trouble.
Right.
But this was, literally, this was him just pulling the team together, and you were getting a glimpse into them. But I thought confidence. I mean, I thought Fitz and Simmons had tons of confidence. I thought they seemed like they would be those people in this organization.
Oh, absolutely. The techie twins, they're going to be a lot of fun.
And Skye, I thought, she was a little over the top. And not the actress, but the character was a little over the top because, I mean, come on. Living in a van, able to do all that she's doing. But at the same time, I enjoyed the character.
Well, they have to develop her in such a way if they're truly bringing her outside to really have enough that, she actually can get into their systems and, without the resources. So what is she going to be able to do when she's got the resources of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Right. That's what I want to see.
So there's room for that. And she had a lot of confidence. And it was the interesting twist that she's looking at S.H.I.E.L.D. as the bad guys.
Right.
And
yeah, I thought that was really cool. And I thought that their knowledge of her was really cool. I thought that whole thing was really great. What did you think of Mike Peterson?
I thought that was really good.
We meet him and we meet his son, and you know that he's going to be the guy, like, immediately.
Right. And it really reminded me, it's one of these, was it the Avengers? Where was the movie where the soldiers were walking around and they were blowing up?
The soldiers were walking around and they were blowing up. Are you talking?
It was a recent movie within about the last year or two.
Okay.
And the soldiers had gone through, like, the super soldier.
Are you talking Captain America?
That might have been Captain America.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
and they said that they were using the super soldier serum. They said that what they had put in this guy was a mixture of alien technology, super serum, and gamma radiation. They said these are the
Okay.
things we know cause supers to happen and cause the mutations, and they put all three in each of these guys, which is why they were exploding.
Right. If they can't. The rage. Well, that was right from the Captain America movie. I knew. I just couldn't. I couldn't put it back together.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and that's, and they're hinting a big development with that.
Well, you know what I was thinking during all that was the gamma radiation when it was showing it kind of bleed through and he was kind of red and that. I kept thinking of the Hulks, and because there's the Green Hulk and the Gray Hulk and the Red Hulk, and the Red Hulk stuff. I've been reading Red She-Hulk and Thunderbolts, which both deal with Red Hulks, and they were exposed to gamma radiation, and this is what it did. This is how they mutated. And when he was starting to have that bleed through, I thought, are they going to have some Hulk out action in this at some point? And, it really opens the door. In my opinion, I think it would be really, really great if they did do like a red She-Hulk on S.H.I.E.L.D. Because you wouldn't have to have her Hulk out for very much. You could do some really cool effects. And come on, are they ever going to make a movie with Red She-Hulk? Probably not.
No.
But it's a great character and it's a great story. And that's something that would be tailor-made for this type of show.
It would. That's something you could carry on for a few episodes or even as a character.
Oh, yeah, have her just kind of reappearing. She rages out and S.H.I.E.L.D.'s got to deal with it.
Right. Unfortunately, it's such an odd name.
Red She-Hulk?
Red She-Hulk.
Well, they would probably go with her character name. Her name is Betsy Ross. It's General Ross's daughter.
That's even worse.
And General Ross, from Hulk, is the one that Hulk had all of his conflicts with, and Thunderbolt Ross. And he and Betty were exposed to the gamma radiation when Bruce Banner was, and it mutated into the Red Hulks. So as time went on, they became Red Hulks, and they rage out, man. But Banner is much worse. His goes way over the top because he was right in the center of the storm,
Right. But I think as marketing wise, Red She-Hulk is never really going to sell.
No, but if you have her as a character on there, and basically they can call her that at some point, but keep calling her Betsy, I think that would be pretty cool.
Or maybe just She-Hulk.
She-Hulk, yeah. Well, there is the She-Hulk. That's another character.
Oh, that's right, because that's to differentiate. But
Right.
yeah, it I think the whole thing got too long. But back to the show, I really thought, what you were seeing was that that rage trying to come out like
Right.
the Captain America movie. Not that I wouldn't like to see it come into a Hulk connection. However, I think that was the depiction of the inner rage. They're that much closer to exploding.
Well, yeah, no, and I agree with you. I do think that's what was going on. What I'm saying is, I think that because they put there is gamma in there, I was seeing it and going, oh, they could easily have a storyline where that mutates a different way, and we start getting some Hulk storylines going on.
Right, the perfect it's a good transition. You are correct.
I would also like to see. I mean, they could have. They introduced Extremis in this, which is coming from the alien technology, is what they were saying in this, and that was what was causing everything. I think Extremis is actually what they were using that they were implanting in their arms, and that whole thing is tied into Iron Man. I think that you have potential there where you could have some of the different Iron Man storylines without. Obviously they're not going to, bring Iron Man in. They've got him in the movie properties. Why give it away for free? But they certainly have other things in the Iron Man universe that they could bring in that are tied into Extremis that would be really cool. I mean, there's so many possibilities to go with here.
Oh, absolutely. And actually, you don't have in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. You may have some Tony Stark without possibly the Iron Man.
Yeah, but I don't. I mean, they'd have to pay Robert Downey a fortune, unless. See, we don't know this. Maybe his contract has him doing an appearance.
Oh, that could be. Or they're doing right now. It seems like they're doing like the over the phone things from Nick Fury.
Right.
He may not ever come in, but he's still just a phone call away.
Well, I mean, they could very easily have. You could see Iron Man over a video phone. You don't have to see Robert Downey Jr. He just does a voice, and you would hear him, say something to him. That would bring it in, and oh my gosh, the audience would go nuts. Do a little tiny bit of Iron Man, do a little tiny bit of, like with Thor, all they have to do is have him fly by at some point. You'd be like, yeah, it's Thor! What would be really cool, and it's not going to happen, but if they could actually get into like some of the Spider-Man and X-Men stuff in here, but because Disney doesn't own those, we're not going to see that. Or at least we're not going to see it in the way we know. There may be things from Spider-Man's world that will start to bleed in here that is not owned by Sony that they can actually use. I mean, let's face it, Spider-Man and Daredevil were a big team up. Disney owns Daredevil at this point. Now, I doubt they're going to do a Daredevil story. Save that for the movie. Reboot the movie, make an awesome Daredevil movie. But we could see elements from that. We could see Kingpin make an appearance. We don't know.
Oh, you've got the whole. That's the thing. You've got the whole Marvel lineup, and they are interchangeable. Everything, the Avengers, the Thor, Iron Man, all these things tend to intertwine.
Right.
In the Marvel world.
So, what do you think? Who do you think the third party was when they had that attack at Union Station, and the guy was dressed like a cop, and he was shooting at Mike Peterson. I don't know if you noticed it, but before the cop got out of the car, we're just going to call him the cop, the guy that was in the car, before he got out of the car, there was a woman driving, and her face was all messed up. It looked like she had taken a shotgun blast to the side of the face. Who do you think that third party was?
I think that might have been the what's driving Centipede, which could be high. It could be.
Oh, you're thinking it might be the group that has Extremis.
Right.
Like they're trying to hide Extremis.
Exactly.
Oh, see, well, and it could be because I was thinking, in the comics, kind of the counter S.H.I.E.L.D group is AIM. And I was thinking, I wonder if they're going to bring AIM in this early, but they're not going to tell us that's who it is for a while.
Oh.
So now we've got AIM out there causing trouble for S.H.I.E.L.D., but we don't know that's who it is because they're not dressed in those goofy yellow outfits there in the comic book.
I don't know. Well, you've also got what's the Hydra.
Oh, true.
And that's
I didn't think of that. That's a good idea.
And they never really they defeated and killed the leader more than a couple times, but Hydra always comes back.
Right.
Cut off one limb and three more take its place.
Right. So that could be what we're seeing. It might not be AIM, it might be Hydra.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's cool.
We've just got a ton. You've got a ton to pick from. They could go anywhere. They could really develop new characters.
Oh, there's so many possibilities here. And see, that's why when you were saying in the beginning that the tone wasn't working for you, to me, it worked for what it was. It was a pilot. We're going to see this develop. But I just see so many potential avenues to go with this. I was having a conversation with my friend today, and we were talking about this stuff. And one of the things that we came up with was, they've had trouble making a Punisher movie that really works. Warzone was good, but it wasn't great. It's like they haven't clicked in on the Punisher, and I think the Punisher is a great story. I think you could do it right here. I think you could have Frank Castle show up in this universe where this is happening, and they track him down, and then they're like, wait a minute, he doesn't have superpowers, he doesn't have Extremis or whatever, but he's in this world. He's one of these guys.
Right. And
that would be a real interesting one they'd have to deal with. And introduce him here, let that kind of come out. You don't have to go into his origin story. And with any of these, you don't have to go into their origin story. Have them make an appearance. Something happens that they're involved in, and now they're on the radar. They're on the radar for the audience, and they're on the radar for S.H.I.E.L.D., And now, if you do a movie and Punisher shows up, or it is a Punisher film, some Punisher centric movie, I think that you've got a lot more recognition behind for the audience. Because those movies, it's kind of like with Judge Dredd. A lot of people didn't go see the new Judge Dredd movie because they thought of the Stallone movie. It left a bad taste in their mouth. Frankly, they were wrong. The Judge Dredd movie with Carl Urban that came out last year was awesome. It was awesome. I wish everybody would see this thing and that they'd get a sequel made because I really, truly enjoyed it. I loved what they did. Same thing here. The Punisher movies weren't necessarily awful, but they didn't do what they should have done. And they didn't cement the character in people's minds the way they should have. Whereas now with this, here's your opportunity to plant some seeds. Like I said, plant some She-Hulk, plant Punisher. I'd love to see that. I'd love to see Moon Knight show up in here. I mean, go crazy. I think this is a real opportunity for Marvel to expand its universe. And I think, some cinematic universe. And I think that, they're trying to do it with those Marvel one-shots also. Now, have you watched any of those?
No.
Okay, you're missing out. Do you have them on Blu-ray or DVD?
No.
Okay. Jack, you need to get some of that stuff. Come on, you do a podcast about it. Okay,
well, I will definitely catch up.
Okay, on the Avengers is one called, I think it's called Item 43. Oh, God, I hope I got that name right. What it is one of the weapons that the aliens had in Avengers is kind of left behind in the cleanup, and these two people find it. And they take it, and they're like, wow, this thing, shoots holes through buildings and stuff. It's like, what is this? And then S.H.I.E.L.D. tracks them down, and it's really cool. It's a fun short. On Iron Man 3, there's a short that I watched just before watching Avengers called Agent Carter. Agent Carter is the British woman, the female, the girlfriend of Captain America. Remember her? In the movie?
Right.
Okay. What's her name? Hallie Atwell, I think her name is the actress. So basically what this short is it takes place, I want to say it's either 6 months or a year after Captain America has disappeared into the ice. So it's taking place back in 43? Is that when they did that? Something like that. And she is sitting behind a desk, supposed to be a field agent, but they don't let her because she's a girl at a field office for S.H.I.E.L.D. But they don't really say it's S.H.I.E.L.D., but you see some of the logos and you're like, okay, this is early 1940s S.H.I.E.L.D. stuff going on here. Okay?
Right.
And it goes into this awesome short little story about her really kicking some butt. And I won't spoil it. You got to see this thing. It was so good. And when it ended, it had cool music and cool graphics, and the story was great. And immediately I turned off. I'm like, oh my God, they need to do something with this character. Because in the movies, she's back in the 40s and Cap is here now. So they can't really bring her back for Captain America 2, for the Winter Soldier. They need to do something with this character. It was great.
So she's on the extras on the Avengers?
Yes. Well, no. She's on the extras on Iron Man 3. So
okay.
Go to Redbox, rent Iron Man 3, go to the extras and look for Agent Carter. It is so fantastic. And then I typed it in just to see if they were doing anything with her. And there is, they have said they're going to do it. Now, whether it gets greenlit or whether it actually happens, we'll have to see. But they're looking to do a series based on Agent Carter, which is awesome because hopefully they'll run it during the summer. You and I will, as soon as S.H.I.E.L.D. ends, we go right into Agent Carter, hopefully, and we can just keep this thing going. You're going to love this show, though, man. It's awesome. It's awesome. This short was just great.
I will check it out. Speaking of checking it out, I went to the IMDb database online.
Yeah.
And looking at the comments, and boy, it is just much like our show. It's really about 50-50.
Yeah. Like people loving it, people hating it, or people, not clicking in on it?
Oh, well, here's Chlo- Chloe Bennett is dragging the show down. Um,
Okay, so somebody didn't like her.
yeah, but then on another page is Chloe Bennett is going to be the standout star.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah. See, whenever you get into these, whenever you fall down the rabbit hole of looking at comments, you're going to get that. You're
oh
going to
yeah,
get people that are going back and forth like that. And I'm not surprised by your reaction because I I know that the tone and everything here was different than what I was expecting. And I think if I hadn't watched the two things I watched just before watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I think I may have reacted a little bit differently to it.
well, I think what I'm hearing from you is an attitude of expectation and hope, whereas of what they can do with the characters, if you know. But if you're looking at the series, it wasn't a very promising start.
Oh, you don't think so, huh? Now,
Oh,
have you
well,
watched
I
other
mean,
Josh Whedon or Josh? Oh my gosh! You know what? I think I've got extremis in my eye, and it's causing problems for my brain. Uh, Joss Whedon. Have you watched other Joss Whedon shows?
yes, and
So
I
you
think
watched the first episode of Firefly. What was your takeaway? I mean, did you
gosh,
feel the same way, or were you in 100%?
I don't remember being. I don't remember being in 100%, but there wasn't that expectation. There wasn't. I know the
Okay, so the
history of the
expectation
show.
level was
If
different. You just went into it watching it. Okay.
right when I'm getting a Big Mac and fries, I'm looking for two all beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, onion, tomato. Wait, two all beef
Oh,
patties, special
you
sauce,
gotta.
lettuce, pickle, tomato on
Let's
a
hear the
sesame
song,
seed
Jack.
bun.
Let's hear the song.
Two all beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onion on a sesame seed bun. There
There,
we go.
see? If you say it like a song, you got it. If
I've
you
got
just
it.
try to remember it, forget it.
But that's what I didn't get. I got two all beef patties, special sauce, and maybe a whole of lettuce, no tomato, pickles, onions, and a bun without the sesame seeds. Because we're reinventing the Big Mac. I don't. If you want to call, if I went in for, the Big Bob, I'd be, man, this is the best thing ever.
But you were going for the Big Mac.
I was going in for the Big Mac. I did not get the Big Mac. I
That's
got the
so funny.
Disney. I got the Disney Mac.
Okay, the Disney Mac. You know what? You are going to get your Big Mac. I'm telling you. I don't think this is going to go. I think that the path that we're on is not the path that you're fearful of.
Well, I'm
If it
not. All
is,
I'm saying,
if it
here's
goes the way that you're fearful of, trust me, I'm fearful of the same thing, and I'm not going to like it very much.
right, and our show will peter out very fast,
Uh, yeah,
unless it becomes a comedy show about dragging how bad the show is.
yeah. Well, it won't completely peter out because we talk about other things Marvel, which is why this show is designed the way it is, so that if something is a bomb, big deal. We move on.
We can move on to Thor.
Yeah, because I mean, let's face it, the movies have been awesome enough to keep us going.
Oh, absolutely, and there's more coming out. There's an Iron Man 4.
Well, no, they haven't announced Iron Man 4. They have
Oh,
announced there are going to be two more Avengers that Robert Downey Jr. is signed for. Coming up, we've got Thor. I don't. They haven't announced if there's another Thor after two. Ant-Man, Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm missing some things here. What? That might be all I've got in my head for right now. We could go with that. But they have not said that there is going to be an Iron Man 4. Now, do I think there will be? Yeah, I'm sure there's going to be at some point. But they might give Iron Man a rest. They might use the Avengers movies as platforms for Iron Man.
so dig some of the spread on this thing. I got this show is bad. Sky is dragging the show down. Can they remove all characters except for Agent Coulson? Why is Shield like the West Wing? Based on the pilot, how long do you think the series will last? And let's see.
Wow.
Coulson is a Skrull. Where are the superheroes?
There's
Where
no way.
are the superheroes?
First of all, Coulson's not a Skrull. That person got it wrong. And where are the superheroes? That's what the show's about. We're going to find them.
I know. But we better. Here's a good one though. Here's one that did really impress me. Do you think we'll get to see the cellist?
The cellist. Who's the cellist? What is that?
Uh,
It's impressing you, but you don't know what it is?
there were just like a couple reference, or is it just
Oh,
it's just a gag? Is it like death or
yeah, what was it? Remind me, what was the reference? What did they say? Yeah, oh, he's like in a relationship with the cellist, right?
yeah? And she was heading back to Portland. Yeah, it might be his long distance relationship, or it might be the sad story that they do a little montage every once in a while.
Right.
Or will that become will that be will will the death thing, maybe that won't play out as serious as what we think, although they're really alluding to something bigger. But I think it may be something that they'll allude to occasionally as the girl from his past,
Yeah, yeah.
your Sherlock Holmes and
The girlfriend, the one that showed up alive. Hey, spoilers for last season. The one that showed up alive at the end of the season. Is that what you're saying?
no, from the
Did I just
original
spoil a whole
book.
series just to make a point that didn't work?
Well, for me.
No, no. You were talking about the girlfriend. I completely spoiled the last season of Elementary.
Oh, lovely. Hey, speaking of, do you like Elementary?
Yeah, I do. I did not watch the pilot or this season yet, though. Have you?
I have not either. I did see last season, and it is pretty good. But the one that really had promise, I really thought was the BBC show. But the two guys apparently got so many movie offers, they really had trouble getting it back.
Your information's a little funky because they have been shooting the third season.
Well, it took them. It took them
It took a long time, yeah.
took them a long time because how many movies have these guys done
But that's
in
also
the mix of the
BBC.
two?
You know, BBC doesn't necessarily run things yearly. Like, I just read something, actually. I'm a big fan of the IT Crowd. Have you ever watched
Yeah.
that show?
No.
Okay, great show. It's hilarious. And they did, I think, 3 seasons, and then there's been nothing. And it's been a long time since there's been anything new. I just read something that in England they're showing the final episode of the IT Crowd right now. So I guess there was a season that just wrapped up, a fourth season, and that's it. So, I mean, they probably went 3 years between season 3 and 4. That BBC operates a lot differently than American television.
That is true, but what I had been reading off some of the BBC News was that they were trying to
Yeah, that
get
it was hard to get those guys back together.
that was the reason, not that they were on a slower pace than the American pace. However, they did try to sue the American Sherlock.
Yeah, and it didn't work.
It did work because first it's public domain,
Yeah.
story you can't, you know.
Yeah, that was kind of, I think that was publicity, you know. Plus, those shows are so different. Oh my gosh.
Absolutely, but I enjoy them both. Actually, I'm a big Sherlock Holmes fan. Oh,
Yeah.
the woman in Scarlet. That's,
Yeah. So
you
you're
know-
thinking that the cellist is like the woman in Scarlet.
yeah, somewhat, yeah.
Okay. I could totally get behind that.
But that was an interesting post.
I wonder
Um,
now. I wonder how long it's going to be before they reveal what the deal is with Coulson, or if they're going to let that one be like on Lost, where something just stays for the entire series, and then in the last minute, maybe you find out and maybe you don't. I wonder
Well-
if this whole thing they planted with Coulson, if they're going to just let that one keep floating out there.
I don't think so, only because in modern times, I think they think that audiences don't have that long of an attention span. Because how many of these shows have they killed off major characters in the first season?
Yeah, true.
And they've dumped the storylines. They've gotten divorced 2 or 3 times. Everything that's
Yeah, but
developed
you know what?
now.
This is Marvel. This is a different game because if you look at the movies, they've planted stuff way back that they're just kind of revealing now. Like they've got a complete story arc and they're taking their time with some of it.
Well, I hope so, but I think they're playing the TV game. And if you're selling TV, you have to sell it the TV way.
Yeah, true. I can see that. I
So
hope not.
I,
I hope
I
they're going for the long game on this one because that would be a lot more fun to me.
oh, it would to me too. I don't like when they develop the storylines so much that by the end of the first season, you've got stuff that should have been wrapped up in the finale.
Right, right. So, what do you think about the hooded hero, about Mike Peterson? Do you think? I mean, I know that they shot him with that thing, and they've got him like sequestered now with his family. Do you think they're going to? I guess my question is a big one. It's about the show itself. Do you think that that's going to be kind of a recurring thing? Like they find these guys and they set them up, or do you think that that's how his story wrapped up, and we may see him come back at some point? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it could go either way. You could have an X-Men Academy kind of thing where these guys are,
Oh,
here,
like they're training them. Oh, that's a good idea. Like an Avengers Academy.
right, and they're on call.
Wow.
Or even if they're not training, they've got their little beeper, like your Super Friends kind of, when the bat signal goes up, they get mobilized and say, hey, I've got a level 3 gamma radiation situation. Oh, so I need hooded guy, I need the Hulk, and I need Red She-Hulk.
Wow. This could be really interesting. I mean,
Yeah,
they could go a completely different direction than the comic series has, and kind of, since they don't have the mutants, they don't have that academy, do something completely different with that. I like that idea.
and then you're retaining your like commando vibe, your Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. You have, what do you do with now that okay, they're tracking all these guys, you've got all this available power, what do you do with it?
Yeah. Oh, I like that idea. You know what? Once again, we're just speculating at this point. We have no idea where this, not just this season, but where this series is headed. I know 100% that when they developed this series, they did not develop it with the intention of it being a single season.
Mm-hmm.
They have, like, I remember I heard the guy who wrote the book. Do you remember the show Flash Forward?
I never saw it, but yeah.
Okay. When they did that, it was based on a book, and it appeared to be a single finite season. And it got canceled after the first season, right?
Right.
But when they launched that show, they thought it was going to be huge. And I heard the author interviewed, and they said, well, your book is only one book, and the series is moving along so fast, it's going to be done with your book by the end of the season. And he said, well, yeah. He said, when they pitch shows like this, and I'm sure this is the case with S.H.I.E.L.D., they have a real solid, like, this is the first season, but then they write like a synopsis of a 5-year or 7-year arc. 5 years is what they usually go for, but they have like an arc, like this is where the show is headed. This is the theme of the show. Does that change sometimes? Sure. But I'm sure that there's stuff that they're putting in here right now, ideas that they're setting in motion, that if this show works, which I mean, it got huge ratings and people are buzzing about it, whether they hate it or love it, they're talking about it. This is going to have legs for a while unless it peters out. And I'm sure that this, 5-year plan is definitely something we're going to see unfold.
And you have all of Marvel's resources and history. You've got a wealth of information coming to you. That shouldn't be the problem. Can they keep it from becoming too campy? That's the question.
Yeah, well, yeah. You're afraid of the camp. What I'm afraid of is actually something you mentioned earlier. I'm afraid of it becoming like a CSI. Now, I didn't see that in here, but I've got that fear. Yeah, CSI can be cool, and I know a lot of people love it. But when I watch it, I've watched it only a few times because every time it seems like the same thing.
Well, it is. I mean, but you've got the Techie twins, which are very much like the dark-haired goth girl in the lab.
Right.
You've got, Coulson is your main agent, and everybody kind of feeds off of. And the thing is, I don't know that Coulson has. There's almost an assistant vibe to him where.
Which is why I said I think this show is going to end up being about Ward. I think that Ward is going to come into his own. Coulson is going to be a director type. He's going to be an interesting character, but he's not going to be Action Jackson through the whole thing.
Well, I think it
Action
should
Jackson.
be. It should be Coulson, though. It really should be Coulson.
Really focused on Coulson, you think?
Right,
Yeah,
because
but
I think
Coulson's got some mystery hidden inside of him. I think they're going to evolve Coulson because he was so popular in the movie. People really liked the character. I have a feeling they're going to evolve him and they're going to want to keep using him in the movies. And if you do too much with him on the show, you're going to blow that.
Yeah. Well, what was Harrison's Ford character in Star Wars?
Han Solo?
Han Solo.
You know, that's a hard one to think about, isn't it?
It is when you're talking about other characters. Like, if I wasn't talking about all these superheroes, I would have gone straight to it.
Right.
But I think you're looking at him like Han Solo. Really,
Yes. That's a
whole
great analogy right there.
the whole story was supposed to be about Luke Skywalker.
Right, but you really, when you go back and you talk about it, you talk about Han Solo, you talk about the relationship with Leia, you talk about that whole thing.
Right, because Skywalker came off as a big giant whiny weenie.
Well,
You know,
way to
it's like
throw down on the Skywalker family, Jack.
if they had written some testicles into his character, I think
He's an alien, Jack. We don't know if they have those.
he's that Skywalker's not.
But,
He- he's
they are alien to us because they're in a galaxy far, far away.
In a world just like ours. He's totally humanoid.
Look, okay, look at
He's-
Doctor Who.
He's not one of the mutant heads.
Look
Come
at
on.
Doctor Who.
Well, yes,
He's an
but
alien.
he's from another dimension.
No, he's not, is he?
The Doctor? Absolutely.
No, he's not from another dimension.
Yes,
He's
he
from another
is.
planet, but he can travel through time and space.
I thought the Time Lords were from another dimension.
Maybe.
Totally.
Maybe. Could be.
Yeah,
Could
because
be
they
right.
live outside time. That's why they're not
Well, they do
affected
live outside
by
of time, but yeah, who knows? Okay, so that was a bad example.
But let's get back to
But Luke Skywalker's an
Han
alien.
Solo and
Are we
Luke
going to have a throwdown
Skywalker.
about this?
Luke, like I said, Han Solo came off as the driving force, and I think that's who you're looking at because you're looking at the agent. He's going to be the agent that's going to be doing the killing, the hard work, the badass stuff.
Right.
And I think you're right in that respect. I think it has to be about Agent Coulson driving the bus. However,
so you think it's centered on Coulson, but Ward is your Han Solo.
exactly.
All right. And Sky would be your Princess Leia, maybe.
Yeah,
Fitz
I
and
think
Simmons
there's a-
are R2 and C-3PO.
exactly.
And-
And then
May is not Chewbacca. Maybe she's, because we're running out of characters, maybe she's a little bit more Ben Kenobi. But wouldn't Coulson be Ben Kenobi?
yeah, I think he would be more Ben Kenobi. We're still looking for Yoda, so she would kind of be
Maybe she's Yoda. Because she was so kick butt, and then she was in seclusion.
no. She's who's the I think she's
Lando?
one along those.
Is
She's
she
like
Lando?
along the Han Solo line.
Okay.
But almost like I would say like the Chewbacca because she's the pilot.
Oh, she's the pilot.
Yeah,
She's the pilot. Oh, that poor woman getting cast as Chewbacca.
I know, but she's kicking way too much ass. Chewbacca,
Wait
he
a
knocked
minute.
over.
How dare you blaspheme Chewbacca?
I know.
He kicked butt. You know what the problem with Chewbacca? Well, not with Chewbacca. The problem for Chewbacca is he never got that medal at the end.
Oh, that's right.
And when we were watching it with Molly, my 6-year-old. She watched the entire. Okay, I say the first movie, but it's episode 4, but it's Star Wars to us. We watched it for the first time all the way through, and at the end, the first thing she said, "Why did Chewbacca get a medal?"
He got dwarfed.
Wow, he got warped. Like that is awesome that she picked up on that. I explained to her that Princess Leia was too short to get it up there, but
It's funny when you mentioned that. I was like, yeah, absolutely too. But up until you mentioned it, I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, she caught it immediately.
Yeah, he was in on the whole thing. Well, maybe because
he was
he never
crucial.
got. Maybe because he never. All of them got kind of sequestered into the troops, and maybe Chewbacca never did.
As much as Han did.
Well, he became a general at some point.
That's later. At the end of Star Wars, it
That's
was
true. He's just
Chewie
a mercenary.
driving and Han driving, and they flew in and got rid of Darth Vader, and Luke blew up. Spoiler: Luke blew up the Death Star. They
Oh, yeah,
weren't in. They
as
weren't
if
part of the
not
Rebel
everybody
Alliance.
in our audience doesn't have that movie
Right.
memorized and is going to be sending us emails about every wrong comment we made so
Can you
far.
imagine how many emails we're going to get about
If anybody knows
show?
anything about this stuff, because I know like the periphery of stuff, but there's people that like, they're calling out like Lucas and on the phone. It's like, what the hell are you doing? Red 7 never went to the fifth planet, you ass. I'm like, what?
Porkins is an important character in the history of Star Wars. I'm making it sound like they're all nerds, and I literally have and when I use the word literally, I actually mean the word literally because a lot of people misuse that. I literally have Star Wars on two different versions on Laserdisc. I have two different versions on DVD, and I have the Blu-rays. I did get rid of my videotapes, but I'm acting like they're nerds when I'm imitating them. I'm really just imitating myself.
That's true. You're really not far from it. All you need to do is really just study up a little more on your facts.
Yeah. Well, no, I think that I don't think that's the case. I think that I have studied plenty on all of this. I just don't remember all of it because I get so distracted.
All right, I'll give you that.
This has been the
deep.
first conversation you and I have had that I have not gone off about Batman or Wolverine.
Oh, well, we really
So what's
haven't.
that tell you?
Right. Well, we really haven't delved into that, but the fact that you can remember all three of Catwoman's names is fairly impressive.
Thank you. You know what? Speaking of Batman, did you see that they're doing Gotham Knights or the Gotham PD as a TV show?
I did not.
Yeah. They just announced they're going to do a Commissioner Gordon, like a young Commissioner Gordon Gotham PD TV show.
I think they really need to go with Hank from Breaking Bad as the commissioner.
Not too old.
No,
Too old.
no way.
He's awesome, but he's too old for Commissioner Gordon.
No, absolutely not. Commissioner Gordon has to be old.
No, because it's an early one. He was younger than Bruce Wayne, I believe.
Yeah,
He's
I'm
younger
going
than Bruce
back.
Wayne in the story.
Right. I guess I'm going back to the TV series, but you have a commissioner. Look at the commissioners that you have. These are guys that have done at least 20 years in the Corps.
But this is going to be like when Gordon is more of a rookie cop and there's so much corruption in Gotham and there's this weird bat guy that's like appearing out of nowhere and causing trouble for him. That's what it's going to be.
So I'm off.
And
I'm
it might
way off
not even
base.
be. It might even be before Batman.
You're talking pre-commissioner.
Pre-Batman.
Pre-Batman. Oh, okay.
And he's probably a rookie cop.
Sorry, I went off the reservation there for a second.
Yeah. As long as they don't
this
cast
is like,
Bieber in it, that's what I'm looking for. Just don't let Bieber anywhere near it.
Well, I would love to see him as Commissioner Gordon, though.
Bieber?
Justin Bieber?
Oh, God.
No, I'm talking about Hank.
Justin Bieber.
Justin Bieber.
Send your hate mail to Jack Wingrosky.
I didn't say the beam. I didn't float the beam. That was you. That was you that put that together.
Oh my God! I think that's right. You know what, Jack? Jack just got a Twitter and a Twitter account, and I think we need to create a hashtag for you, which is float the beam.
It sounds like a bathroom episode. Dude, I totally floated the beam.
I didn't mean to float the beam out there.
I was going to this girl's house, and man, I was not feeling good.
I floated.
So I went to the bathroom and I floated a beam. I don't think she's gonna call me back.
As long as this show doesn't float a beam, that's what I'm looking for.
I think it's already gone that way. We're so off topic now; it's not even funny.
Oh, please. You know what? I think we did amazingly well. This is the first podcast that we've done that we've stayed anywhere close to topic.
That's true.
So,
and there hasn't even been one talk about what rule we're going to follow.
No. No. Oh my gosh! You know what? I'm going to say. Well, we got to wrap this up, but I do want to say one more thing. I loved when they had Lola fly at the very end when his car flew.
Oh yeah,
That
yeah, yeah.
is right out of that first issue of Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Right.
When he's riding in that yellow sports car, and the guy's like, "Get me out of here!" And then the tires go to the side, the thing lifts up, and it flies away right out of it. That and it also reminded me of Back to the Future. You know, I'm sitting there like, "Where we're going, we don't need cars or whatever." That's a terrible impression. But that reminded me of that. But it was right out of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I loved that. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, and the end of that, say, what kind of plane is that? From here, it kind of looks like some kind of flying car. So that's how S.H.I.E.L.D. got Fury away from us.
Yeah, great.
Dun, 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 dun.
Great.
Yeah, if it has half the technical, all the techie stuff that the original Shield has, I think that's going to be a real treat.
Well, I think we already saw it. I think that they were laying techie stuff out all over the place on this. I think the key is if they can bring in the superheroes, but not make it superhero of the week. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
if you watched the show Heroes, it started out very promising and then it went off the rails. This, if it looked at the very beginning of Heroes and kind of built that with S.H.I.E.L.D. being the framework, I think they'd stand a pretty good chance. Now that show, yeah, it turned into a train wreck and it did have some real issues here and there. I don't know, there's probably people that are fans. I fell off on that one pretty quickly. But there was something really great in the first few episodes of it. And I think that this show, if it used that, like the way it developed its superhero stories, if it used that, but then frameworked it with S.H.I.E.L.D. and then had this cool tech, I think we've got a huge winner here.
And some of the investigative tools, it looked like maybe in about 20 years, they could actually figure out how to do it. You know,
Totally.
Just like Star Trek back in the original episodes, the flip communicators, and 40 years later we're talking on flip phones.
Oh yeah, well you are because you've got a 10-year-old phone, but the rest of us have iPhones, which are even more advanced.
Hey, I've got the iPhone 5.
Oh, you're beating me now.
I am a total dweeb.
Yeah, well, I didn't say it. So
Hey.
I say let's wrap this thing up. Did you have anything else more you wanted to inject in here or say or?
No, I'm pretty Biebered out.
Let's float the beeb right out of here. So that's it for Nuff Said for this week. Follow us on Twitter. You can follow me at rsouthgate. And Jack, you have a new Twitter. Let's hear it.
Jack Wengroski.
I thought it was just Jay Wingroski.
Oh, Jay Wengroski. I don't even know
right.
him on Twitter.
So he's Jay Wingroski. This week I think we should hashtag some Float the Beeve. Float the Beeve. Oh my gosh. Float the Beeb. I'm going to set a hashtag for Float the Beeb and send you something.
Edit.
So follow us on there, and we'll be having conversations about this and about Input Junkie, another show that we do with Martha, and some other cool stuff that we have coming up. Go to our Facebook page. We need people to talk to us there. We want to get a whole conversation going, and that is the Nuff Said podcast. Like it. Give us great ratings on iTunes and Stitcher, please. 5 stars only. We don't want to have the conflicting reports like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is having, and we need reviews and all sorts of stuff on there. Just the more you can give us, the more we know how to tailor this show and what we should be doing with it, and the more we can get the word spread out there and share it with your friends too. Have I done enough beating the drum here?
Oh boy, I think that's enough.
Okay, well, let's wrap it up. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. I am Rampaging Rob Southgate.
I am Jumpin' Jack Wengroski.
That's it, everybody. We'll talk to you next week. Enough said.
Enough said.